Darra Andis's gaming quiz left fans speechless. Here's why. You could feel it building online before anyone even finished reading the questions. A quiz. Just a quiz. And yet, within minutes, comment sections were filling up with people admitting defeat, tagging friends, and quietly wondering how they'd managed to watch decades of television and somehow still not know the answer to something so oddly specific. That's the effect Darra Andis has on people. On paper, he's just one of the chasers, the one they call the Menace, the Irish quizzer with the Oxford research background who spends his day job studying insect brains and his evenings dismantling contestants' dreams on primetime ITV. But there's something different about the moments when Darra steps outside the chase set and starts setting quizzes of his own. Something almost personal. Almost like he's inviting the audience into his world instead of just testing them from a distance. And that's exactly what happened with his latest creation, a gaming-themed quiz that, on the surface, sounds like a bit of harmless fun. 10 questions. A retro theme. Nothing that should have caused this much of a stir. But viewers who sat down expecting an easy win found themselves stuck almost immediately, and that's when the real story started. Because here's the thing about a Darra Andis quiz. It never plays fair in the way you expect. He doesn't just ask you to remember a game. He asks you to remember the feeling of a game. The music that played underneath it. The screenshot that, out of context, could belong to half a dozen different titles from half a dozen different decades. There's a real craft to that kind of question writing, and it says something about how Darra sees his own audience. He's not trying to catch people out for the sake of it. He's testing whether you actually lived through the era you claim to love, or whether you just remember the highlight reel. What made this particular quiz land so hard with fans wasn't just the difficulty, it was the range. One moment you're deep in early 2010s gaming trivia, confident, cruising along, feeling like you've got this. The next, you're staring at a question rooted in a completely different console generation, and that confidence evaporates. Viewers online kept describing the same experience, almost word for word. They'd get 3 or 4 questions in, feeling smug, and then hit a wall so abruptly it almost felt personal. There's something quietly fascinating about why that stings so much. We like to think of our knowledge as broad, as complete, as something we could defend under pressure. A quiz like this doesn't attack that belief loudly, it just lets you attack it yourself, one wrong answer at a time. And Darra, whether intentionally or not, has built a small reputation now for creating exactly that experience. It's not cruel. It's not designed to embarrass. But it does something that live television rarely manages anymore. It makes people sit with the discomfort of not knowing, in real time, in public, in front of everyone watching them try. And maybe that's the real reason these quizzes keep resonating the way they do. On the chase itself, Darra's role is adversarial by design. He's there to stop you, to take your money, to be the obstacle between a contestant and a happy ending. But when he sets his own quiz, something shifts. He's not against you anymore. He's just daring you. There's a warmth underneath the difficulty, the sense of someone who genuinely loves this stuff and wants you to love it too, even if loving it means admitting you don't know as much as you thought you did. It's also worth pausing on what this says about Darra as a television personality more broadly. Colleagues have described him as someone who comes across effortlessly on screen but works far harder behind it than people assume. Someone who treats the job, even the playful side projects like this quiz, with genuine care. You can see that reflected here. This wasn't a lazy list of trivia questions thrown together for engagement. It was built, layered, sequenced so that the difficulty crept up on you rather than announcing itself. By the time viewers reached the final couple of questions, the tone in the comments had shifted from confident to almost affectionate. A kind of, "How does he keep doing this to us?" resignation that you don't often see directed at a quiz. People weren't angry about getting it wrong. They were oddly delighted by it. That's a difficult balance to strike, and it's one Darra seems to have found almost by accident, simply by being genuinely, stubbornly good at what he does. So maybe the real story here isn't the quiz itself, or even the specific questions that tripped people up. Maybe it's what it reveals about the strange, quiet bond between Darra Andis and the audience that loves being beaten by him. Because on the chase, losing to Darra costs you money. Here, it costs you nothing but pride, and somehow, people keep coming back for more. How far did you get before you got stuck? And more importantly, did it feel like a fair fight, or did Darragh get you exactly where he wanted you?